have Miss Shelby Burns, model, entrepreneur, industry leader. We've seen her in major campaigns on billboards across Las Vegas, and even on the side of Resort World's Hotel. With over 13 years in the industry, she's worked with Chanel, secured bold features for her models, and built a career that's both in front of the camera and now behind the business. As the founder of Shelby's Closet and Mid Management, she expands what it means to be a model and a business owner. So we appreciate you having you today. And let's hear it for Shelby Burns real quick. Clap it up.
Thank you.
All right. So this next one, this is another one of our mentors from last year. We got him coming back through. Mr. Nigel B. Murray. Entrepreneur, digital creator, community leader. This guy has over 180,000 followers across platforms and millions of views. This guy is the real deal. He's built more than just an audience. He's built influence that matters. Him, some would call. He knows how to run vision into reality and truly conform what it means to whether it's fashion, tech, lifestyle, or self-improvement content. He's mastered the art of making impact. Yes, sir. Let's clap it up for Mr. Nigel. This last one, but definitely one of the best as well. Miss Deja Williams, clap it up for her real quick, y'all. Brand strategist, marketing leader, and community builder. I'm going to say community builder one more time. Listen, she's behind the brands and campaigns that make an impact, a marketing strategist and creative director. She's leading a movement for Black mothers to rediscover their identity. So if you guys have ever seen on social, her other founder company is called Dear Brown Mama. They do a lot of community events around the city that we've actually had the opportunity to connect with, doing amazing things within our city. So give it a clap up for Ms. Deja Williams. All right, so we're gonna kind of talk into it. I kind of gave y'all a cool little intro, so there's not much left, but I'm gonna try to do my best to ask you a couple of questions here. The first topic that I want to kind of touch into is going to be the journey, breaking into your industry. The first thing that a lot of people ask us is like, how did we get here? How do we put our foot in the door? How did we get there? So let's kind of just talk about the journey real quick. Deja, I'm gonna start with you, and we'll kind of see, what you got to say.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you guys for having me. So my journey, I went in an untraditional route. I didn't finish college. However, I was very intentional about seeking internships, seeking mentors. So for those of you guys who don't know, just a little bit more background, I specialize, my niche is marketing and branding. So how I got to where I am today is I started off as just someone who was eager. I went to East Career Technical Academy, and that's where I got my start in marketing. From there, I just built an interest in just being able to make people fall in love with something that I believed in, right? So after I graduated, I went to CSN for a little bit, but then I was really frustrated by not being able to have or do the things that I wanted because I didn't have a degree. So I threw myself into internships, marketing internships with local agencies. And from there, I was able to start to have these entry-level jobs. So I started off as a marketing intern for a dermatology office. Then I went on to being a marketing assistant for a medical manufacturer. And that was my first real paid gig in the marketing industry. That was also when I was forced to kind of build up my skill set. So I never really saw myself going into any kind of graphic design, but being in that position kind of forced me to. Previously, I was just fully Canva-based, and Canva has come a long way. So I will not throw shade at Canva. But at that time, Canva was still so, let's say, amateur at the time. So I was forced to learn things like Adobe Creative Cloud, and from there, I kind of developed a trade, and I was like, oh, I can make money on the side doing this. So once I left that position, or even in that position, I started my own graphic design agency where I was just doing flyers and logos for people. And then we came to the pandemic, and I was laid off due to COVID. So that kind of launched me into the career of having my own branding agency. And I ended up doing that for 4 years before I stepped away from that. But I kind of shifted from being just a graphic designer to focusing on the niche of brand design, because I was like, okay, it's nice to be able to explore my creativity by just doing these random projects, but I really fell in love with helping small businesses build out their brand identity. So from there, I did that for 4 years. I had children, and I decided I think I'm kind of tired of being an entrepreneur in that aspect. And I went on to be a creative director for a skincare and cosmetics company. Today, I do communications and policy. So, like I said, my background or my journey has been very untraditional, but I've always been very intentional about setting a plan for myself. Seeking out knowledge in other ways, even if it wasn't college, seeking out mentors, internships, reading. If I'm being honest, I would say that I'm a pretty good graphic designer or brand designer, and I learned everything I know from YouTube. Like, I literally got my start on how to use Adobe Creative Cloud Suite from YouTube. And from there, I was able to connect with other people who were well-versed in the area, but yeah, that's a little bit about my journey.
All right, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Y'all seem kind of tired. It's early in the morning? Yeah? All right, y'all. So my name is Nigel B. Murray. I'm a social media content creator. And so it's kind of a funny story how I got into, well, first off, does anybody know what a social media content creator is? What is that? What is it?
I'm pretty sure like somebody who explores themselves on the internet.
Yeah, kind of. So I kind of like show my life on the internet. Y'all ever see like day in the life YouTube videos and stuff, people vlogging and like get ready movie videos, fashion videos. So that's basically what I do. And so this goes all the way back to middle school. All of y'all are in high school right now, right? Correct? This is a high school, right? Okay. So back in middle school, I had a best friend, and he always, if y'all know anything about sneakers, every Saturday a new pair of Jordans comes out, right? And so every single Monday, he would have on the new pair of Jordans, right? And me, I'm like, dang, I want some Jordans too, right? Jordans is cool. How many people wear Jordans in here? Okay. So there was only one issue with that. I didn't have any money to buy any Jordans, and my parents weren't buying them either. The reason why is because in middle school, that's the fastest time where you're growing. So my parents are like, I'm not about to buy no expensive shoes for you, and next month you can't fit them. So me, I've always been a very driven individual. So I said, you know what? I want these Jordans. My parents aren't gonna buy them. I need to figure out a way to get these. So what I did was I looked up on the internet and I was like, how to get Jordans for free or how to get Jordans for cheap. So I came across something called sneaker reselling. Does anybody know what that is? Sneaker reselling? So it's basically, does anybody know like the website StockX or like GOAT where you get shoes from? So that's basically a sneaker resale site. So what happens is, if some Jordans come out and they cost $100, right? Most of the time Jordans sell out. And then you got people that go and resell those Jordans for $250. So I thought to myself, I said, okay, wait a minute. If I'm able to save up enough money, right, to buy one pair of Jordans, sell it and make more, that'll be money that I can use to actually buy a pair. So I started doing that, and that was my way of getting the shoes that I wanted for pretty much free, because I got to a point to where I could buy multiple pairs and keep one pair for myself and sell the rest and be able to make money. So I did that all the way up until I was about you guys' age. There was one issue with that, right? I knew after I graduated high school that I was gonna go to college and I wasn't gonna be able to open up a sneaker store just because I had to focus on other priorities. So I was still left in the same boat. I was like, okay, well, I started sneaker reselling because I wanted shoes and clothes, but how am I still gonna get these shoes and clothes, right? So looked up on the internet again. How do I get free clothes, free shoes? So I came across what is called social media content creator, right? Where if you build a personal brand online, a lot of these brands will actually send you these clothes and these shoes for free. So I started out very, very small, posting like fashion content. I would post like cool outfits that I would wear weekly and kind of stay consistent with it, and it kind of worked out. And now I'm able to get shoes and clothes for free, just like I wanted to when I was 14, 15 years old. So that's a little bit about me.
Good morning, y'all. How y'all doing? I said, how y'all doing? I'm good. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for having us. I really appreciate just you being here in this place, being present with us, and I just feel so honored and blessed to be here with you guys. My name's Shelby Burns. I'm born and raised in the fabulous city of Las Vegas, Nevada. I love this city. I love our community. I love the youth, and I love the next generation that is you guys that is to come. And I've been modeling since I was 13 years old. I'm 27, and it was a tough journey in the beginning. When I first got signed, I didn't have a lot of confidence. I didn't really know who I was. It was just this pretty girl just standing there, and I fit the image of what a model should be. And when I got signed to Ford Models Worldwide, that's one of the biggest modeling agencies in the world, I moved to New York at 16, and it was one of the most beautiful but tough experiences of my life. At 16 years old, I left my parents' house and went to New York City, which is one of the most expensive cities in the world, and I didn't know how I was going to pay my bills, how I was going to survive, how I was going to live, and God is so good, and He just blessed me abundantly. And now with that being said, I will say I was very resilient, I was very strong-minded, and in that industry, you're going to get a lot of no's. In any industry you're in, you're going to get a lot of no's. So you need to be resilient, you need to be adaptable, you need to be willing to do what other people aren't going to do and push for yourself, advocate for yourself, because at the end of the day, nobody else is. So living in New York City, I thought I was going to be a full-time model. I thought wrong. What God really had planned for me was that I was going to be a yes girl and get so many different opportunities to mold me into the woman that I am today, which is running my modeling agency. It's called Met Management. It's based here in Vegas. I represent 150 models. I also have a media company that I represent. And then I also have a clothing company in New York City called Shelby's Closet. Now, with all that being said, going back to living in New York, like I said, I thought I was gonna be this full-time model, and God totally diverted my plan. I was a production set assistant. I was on set every day building sets, learning how to do all this stuff, like being quick, being fast, working on set with the Jonas Brothers and Macy's and Dillard. And I thought I was gonna be in front of the camera this whole time, whereas God was like, you're gonna be back here. But that taught me so much for the business that I have now. And then all these years in New York City, just learning so much, learning how to be fast-paced, learning from my mentors. I never went to college. I knew exactly what I wanted to do with my life. And from a young age, it was just I wanted to be in entertainment. I wanted to be on stages and speaking. And the people that I learned from were just so gracious and so good and so wise. And so it's so essential, the people that you hang out with. Your 5 closest friends is truly who you become. So pray about your friend group. Pray about the people that you want to mentor you, and the leaders in your life, because they are truly speaking life into you.
Ooh, you hit one. I want to just make sure that we hear that. So you said your friend group. How many of you guys, like, for the most part, still have your friend group from high school or like just college in general? Like, how many of those people really, what we would say, converted to that adult life? Like, how many of those, like, shall we go first? Like, what do you think?
I only have 2 best friends from high school that are still with me to this day that are solid, and they are incredible humans. My other best friend group from high school, I'm not really friends with them anymore. I would say we're acquaintances, and I love them from a distance. But these are not the people that I hang out with and surround myself with, because at the end of the day, I want to be better. I want to do more. I don't want to be the smartest person in my friend group. I also don't want to be the wealthiest person in my friend group. So the people that I need to hang out with need to be way beyond what I can even imagine. And over time, as you grow up, you definitely start to curate that friend group. And there's nothing wrong with breaking off friendships. It's sometimes you just outgrow people.
Absolutely. Nigel, what you think?
You know, guys, unfortunately, I know a lot of people from high school, but my best friends in high school, we aren't best friends now. And we're still cool, but I just don't hang out with these people every day, only because I'm a very busy person. And as you begin to go through life, you'll have seasons of right now, this is my person that I see every single day, right? Like, I hang out with this person all the time. And then maybe in another season, right, you guys are separated because maybe you don't go to the same school, or maybe you guys don't live in the same state, or whatever the case is. But just like Shelby said, it is very important to surround yourself around people who are going to not only motivate you, but also people that you kind of want to be like, right? That statement is very true. The people that you hang around, you're going to become the average of them. Right? So if all of those people are better than you, smarter than you, then what is the average of that, right? You're going to naturally become better. Now, if these people are, bad influences on you, then you're naturally going to, probably start making some bad decisions. And that was something that was hard for me to realize, because I was always the type of kid that I'm like, yeah, I know they're doing that, but I would never do that, right? Like, I can hang out with them, but I'm not going to do that. Listen, you're lying to yourself, okay? You're lying to yourself. So listen to your parents. Your parents know what they're talking about. And listen to me, because I was literally sitting in these exact seats only a couple years ago. I'm not that much older than you guys, so listen to you.
What do you say?
Go ahead.
How old am I?
So
I
I
think
was
so.
very blessed that this concept, this topic that we're talking about right now was something that my mom instilled in me in a very young age. So the best friends that I have from high school, I'm actually still best friends with them now. We've seen each other through high school, young adult years, now moms and wives, and I'm just so grateful, fortunate to have best friends. I also have a group of best friends who I came to know and love in my young adult years. Because at the time I had friends who had become moms before me and wives before me. So I needed a group of friends who were in the same season as me. I will say when it comes to friendships, it's so important to identify that in lifelong friendships, there are going to be seasons where you guys aren't aligned. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that you have to throw away the friendship. Maybe just in this season, you guys aren't talking every single day or hanging out all the time. So I think that as for friendships in my sense, that's something I recognize.
Absolutely. So back to friendship really quick. So real quick, I just want to make sure that we in the right room. Raise your hand really quick. How many of you guys want to start your own business one day? Okay, so the energy in this room should be crazy because these are people on this stage that have actually lived this but also got to this point. And for me, when I was in these seats as a senior, I'm like this, like typing phone number in the queues for emails. I want to get their information because these are the people that you connect with that will put you in positions. And if you tap into that, that's real quick connections. Like every last one of them I met on social media that we connected through a friend or another friend or someone else. And we all put our foot forward to connect. So imagine if that was you in that position, what would you do? Connect. So really quick, let's talk about that connections. How do you feel like that has kind of shifted and like just transformed how you do business, Ms. Deja, how you connect and stuff like that?
Because I went about my career in a very untraditional way, connections is the biggest reason why I have been able to get some of the jobs that I have, been able to have some of the opportunities that I have. Your network is so powerful. Your network is worth a lot. So that's that.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Now listen, that's probably one of the best nuggets that you'll probably get today. The people that you know and you have access to, it plays a huge factor in how far you'll go. You'll hear a lot of people say like, oh, I'm quote unquote self-made, right? People say they, made it by themselves. But if you really think about it, that's really not true. It takes other people for you to get to wherever you want to be, right? So a prime example, let's say you want to be a social media content creator, right? I would not be sitting here right now talking to you about this if I did not have a community of people who follow me, right? I would not be a successful content creator if I didn't have any followers, right? You see what I mean? So it takes people to be able to get to where you want to be. Now, another powerful thing as well is having the ability to call certain people, right? Prime example, this guy right here, right? Y'all need to get connected with him because, like, look at what he's doing. You see what I'm saying? Like this, he used to go to this school, right? He's coming back to his community and putting resources on the stage for you guys. I call this guy all the time. I literally just called him and bugged him like 2 weeks ago. He has a full entire production studio, and I needed help making a video, and I called him, and in 10 minutes I was at his studio, right? So without people in your network, right, some certain tasks and certain things that you're doing might be a lot unnecessarily difficult than it doesn't need to be. So really, really make sure that you're connecting with everybody because you just never know how that person can help you in the future and also how you can help them as well. So it's a two-way street.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. It's so true what they say in life. Your network is your net worth. And there's so much power in community and networking and people. At the end of the day, sometimes it's not what you know, it's truly who you know. Especially like living out here in Vegas. I mean, a lot of my friends have gotten their jobs based on who they know. And it is so essential. Like the relationships that you mend and you mold just growing up in life, day to day. Anytime I go out or like I'm at a networking event, I want to meet everybody in the room because I don't know what value they might add for me. Also, too, I just love humans. I love connecting with people and what we can help each other and how we can grow. At the end of the day, it's like, yeah, who can you call that's wiser than you, that knows more than you? I have friends that have built a business in 2 years that are making $1 million a year, $3 million a year, and I'm like, man, if I have a question, I have access to that person because they're my friend. And I'm like, yo, how did you do that? How did you start that business? What do you do when you run into X, Y, and Z, and how can I execute that for myself and my business now? It is so essential, the relationships that you build and mend, and just continuing to network with everyone around you.
So network all around. I just want to add this piece because I think this is important. Nigel, when you call me off rip, first of all, this is my guy, okay? So anytime my guy calls me, I'm answering. We're gonna connect. But let's talk about those people that call, and that equally yoked relationship isn't quite there, right? Relationships, building them, and also not breaking them, right? Because how many times have you been in situations with someone and unfortunately the relationship was broken, that bridge was burned? And y'all know it in the industry in general, but in Vegas, it's a very big city, but it's very, very small at the same time, right? So Ms. Deja, talk about that real quick. Like, how do you feel about just keeping those relationships alive? Like, how do you do that? How do you just navigate that weird world that we're in?
I think it's always making sure that you have value to add to a relationship. And when you have the opportunity to tap into that value, or they're asking you to tap into that value for them, just seeing through and just having good morale. I just recently had a situation where this was a friend, I never worked with him on a professional level before. On a professional level before, but I saw his work and I trusted his work, and I brought him in on this project, and it ended up prolonging the project for months, and it made me look bad at the end of the day because it was my business that was on the forefront. So I just think it's important to make sure that there's value that you bring to the table in any relationship. Just like we talked about, Brandon's able to pull on Nigel's able to pull on Brandon when needed, but there is that level, like I know when I tap into you that you're gonna see through whatever it is that I need.
Absolutely. That was good.
I would say, in order to, how do I want to say this? I would say the biggest advice when it comes to relationships is to always kind of like what Dana just said, you want to be a giver, right? Ironically, the more that you give, the more you'll receive back, right? So, prime example, let's say you meet somebody and you know, you want to learn something from them, whatever the case is. Instead of only looking at it as a one-way transaction of what can this person give me, start thinking in the mindset of what can I do for this person, right? And having equally yoked relationships to where it's not transactional, right? So for example, if Brandon calls my phone and asks me, hey man, I need some help with my social media or some social media advice, I'm not like, okay, cool. Well, now he owed me something. It's not like that. It's not transactional. You know what I mean? It's not a, hey, I do something for you, you have to do something for me type of deal. It's more of giving, right? In equally yoked relationships, me and him operate better together, right? He can help me get to where I want to be, and I can also help him get to where he wants to be in some way, shape, or capacity, right? So for example, this brother got every single possible piece of camera equipment you can think of, right? So it was like, hey man, I need a light for this video. I know I can call him and ask him, right? Or if he's like, hey man, I got this dope social media concept that I need help executing. I'm like, cool, bro, let me know. Like, I'm down to help. So always looking to give, because when you give more, you'll receive back, and it's always not immediate. Sometimes it's delayed gratification. You guys know what that means? What is delayed gratification? Nobody? What is delayed gratification?
It's kind of where it's not immediate, but over time you get that emotion or that gratitude back.
Exactly. So delayed gratification. That's a great answer. Everybody give it up for her.
We're gonna give her something for that answer.
Yeah. So delayed gratification is you might not see right the result of the seed that you sowed right now, but eventually later down the line you'll see it. It's the same thing with working out. If you go to the gym right now and work out for 5 hours, you're not gonna look in the gym and be like, ooh, wow, I'm bigger. No, it's delayed gratification. You have to stay consistent, and eventually you'll see your progress.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Brandon, would you mind asking the question one more time? It sounded to me like you were asking a question of what it sounds like when you're being taken advantage of.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure they understand, like, as much as we've connected and networked with people, I think it's also important to understand how do we cultivate and continue that relationship with someone, right? If I call Shelby, I know Shelby's going to have, boom, she's going to be able to assist me because we've built that relationship, but also I know how to work it and not abuse it
Got
as
it.
well.
Thank you for explaining. I would say it's so essential to have boundaries, and it's okay to say no. At the end of the day, you don't have time for everybody in your life, and so our time is so limited. I have seasons of my life where I'm really able to give and pour into other people, but then I have seasons of hustle and grind, and I have to focus and write and make content, and I don't even have time for myself to hit the gym. And so what I've been learning lately is just having boundaries, saying no and saying it firmly, and not having to explain myself and say sorry for that. At the end of the day, that person, they know that the relationship that we have is strong, but sometimes I don't have time to give it to them. But I let them know, and I'm kind about it, and I just have good communication with those people, because at the end of the day, I don't want to ruin that relationship. But if they're really a good friend and a good client, they're going to understand where I'm coming from. I've also turned down some clients too that are willing to pay me to come do filming, or they'll hire my media company. But at the end of the day, if they're a client that's just not aligning with the vision that I want at the end of the day, I'm okay to say no to money, even if it means taking a hit, because not all money is good money.
Not all money is good money. Did y'all hear that? Yes, sir. Just making sure. Right?
Me too.
No, y'all, sir. But also, too, funny thing about it, aside from that, even before the money comes, it's also about all the things that we did before that to open those doors, right? You have to be in the room to then get your check, cash your check, and make the money move. So let's kind of tap into that a little bit really quick. Funny enough, actually, back to that about you saying, you do sometimes have to say no to certain things and have boundaries, because what I like to say, and I know you guys have probably heard this as well, is that givers have to set limits because takers have none. You ever just give to somebody, pour into them, and for some reason it's like, wait a minute, bro, I just gave you that $5 yesterday. You talking about another $5, right? It's the same thing with relationships, and when you're having that communication back and forth with someone. Every one of us on this stage had scenarios where we had to, like Shelby said, say no, and also be in a position to know that's okay. Know it's okay to say no sometimes, right? To protect yourself professionally, also emotionally, and also for your business. Because at the end of the day, whether or not a no happens, a yes happens, this is going to continue with or without that person. So we have to understand that sometimes, look, maybe that person's not meant to be in this particular position with me at this time. And you have to be okay with understanding that, right? So, really quick, I have this mic. So Miss Deja, funny enough, we're all super busy in our schedule, so you have another scenario that you got to get to. So I want to ask you this first, which is crazy, y'all. Look, everyone on here has got a busy schedule, so hey, we're gonna have it while we got it here. All right. So the first question I have in reference to this conversation is over just about branding and marketing, right? You built and helped to sustain some of the largest companies, some of which, even in mine, we worked together on some projects, and I greatly appreciate you. What is one of the biggest things that people do wrong when they're branding or trying to build their business?
Oh, sorry. So part of you'll commonly hear marketing and branding in the same conversation, right? But they're besties, but they have two different personalities. So while branding is, I like to say, it's like your first impression. Branding is the foundation. It's who you are. It's who you're targeting. It's what feeling you want to give people when they're seeing your branding. Marketing is how you're reaching, how you're reaching the goals that you have for yourself or your product or your business. I think that, what was the question he asked? How are we marketing ourselves?
What's one of the biggest mistakes that people make when
Oh,
they're branding
okay.
their business? These are future entrepreneurs, so they need to know, out the gate, what do I need to avoid when I get to that point of starting it?
I think one of the most common mistakes, people are not intentional about setting the foundation for their brand. That is part of why, although I fell in love with marketing initially, I niched down to branding because I fell in love with the idea of helping businesses set the foundation. It's so common, even in that how often, okay, let me say this, hold on, let me find my words. I will often see people have a logo, right? But their logo makes no sense to who they're targeting. It's a farm logo, but they've got pink sparkles in the logo. They're catering to their personal desire or personal likes than what makes sense for the brand. So I think one of the common mistakes is one, not setting a foundation for your brand, but also just not being intentional about making sure that brand makes sense for who you're trying to reach, whether it's your personal brand or a business that you guys are going to have.
Good.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the reason I asked you that question is because I'm unfortunately a victim to that scenario, right? Like my brand went through like 4 or 5 different logos before I got to Deja. And funny enough, one of the things that I always envisioned before, while I was running my company and I graduated high school, I was doing a couple things. I had joined this corporate job, and I got an opportunity to work with some of the largest companies in the world. I was shooting for like Toyota, Cobalt, which is a Lowe's brand, Home Depot, a lot of different brands that I got to kind of connect with. And I seen the commercial side of what it's like to represent a brand at a high level. So to me, I'm being exposed to this, but why is it that everyone around me is still doing what she just described, right? So if I want to be different, if I want to be the guy that can come back and be on these stages or just be in a position to impact, I got to do something different, right? So that's when I started thinking about my brand and how it's perceived. And that was one of the pieces, having consistency. Raise your hand if you guys have ever seen a purple McDonald's golden arch. Have you ever seen a purple McDonald's logo when you walking down the street and you driving down? Never. What color is the McDonald's arch? Yellow, right? We can agree on either one, right? Have you seen a purple one, bro?
Me personally, I've never seen a purple.
Right? But they have had that consistency across their brand, no matter what it touches, it's all been there, right? So that's something that I think we all can take away from. Make sure that you establish something worth keeping, something that you want to be represented by, and something that speaks to who you are and what you've built, right? So just had to tap into that really quick. So Miss Shelby, I'm going to swing over to you really quick. Because I never really asked you this, like how the whole Resort World thing, right? You've been on the side of a hotel, like driving past and you see yourself modeling in a shoe. Like, what was that experience like? How did that overall, I know that was a huge accomplishment for you, like, how did that really make you feel as a professional, just your career modeling?
It was a very humbling experience. I mean, I've been modeling for, 13 years now. And I feel like now I can finally say, I've made it. I feel like I can look my mom and be like, Mom, I'm doing it. I'm paying my bills. I'm successful. And that doesn't define success, because success looks so different for so many different people. Some people think success looks like financial abundance. Some people think success is a relationship. No, success to me is being full in every area of your life. But being on the side of the resorts world was, one, I feel so blessed and grateful for that opportunity. And it also made me realize, like, man, I can do this, because I did that job by myself. It wasn't booked through an agent. It wasn't booked through a manager, because I used to be represented by numerous modeling agencies. I booked that directly myself. And it's because I'm so good at networking. I'm so good at communicating and connecting with people. And because I met one person, I told her that I'm a model. She's like, well, I'm actually the marketing director for Resorts World. I'm like, no way. And she's like, we need a girl for this campaign. I was like, well, I'm available. And I ended up booking that shoot. And that shoot ended up, helping my business, Met Management. This is my cup. I have my modeling agency on there.
I need one of those cups.
I got you. I'll bring you one. And because of that relationship that I cultivated with her, now a lot of my models get the opportunity to be on billboards around the city for Resorts World, on the billboards, and it all took because of one night connecting with the right person.
Putting other people on.
Yes, absolutely.
Putting them in a position, and when they get those calls, when you get those calls for your people, like that's what's so amazing. But I also want to tap into it because for the longest, before you got those calls, I guarantee there was a lot of locked doors. in the hallways of the different areas that we were trying to build in our industry, I'm still getting that. At this level, we still get those doors closed in our face. Because one thing that I want to make sure they comprehend as well is that even though we say network, there's also times where it's a little bit of gatekeeping going on. It's a little bit of no, he's not ready, no, we're not gonna allow them into our kingdom of this industry or these areas or these connections. People are still telling me no, y'all. Literally. I got emails scroll through like on my way here. No. But for every no, you're closer to a yes. Right? But you have to want to be in the hallway. You have to be able to want to knock on the door and say, hey, I'm here. I'm gonna show up today again. Hey, I'm here. All right, I'm ready. And eventually, right, in some scenarios, you'll be able to tap into those doors. And so I think that's an important piece because, like, as much as we're success in our ways, we also have a lot of failures and a lot of hardships that, like, I mean, I can't speak for y'all, but Nigel, like, listen, bro, I'm on my computer ready to just, like, throw the computer, like, this edit ain't working, like, this project ain't it, like, it's not working. So I know the hardship is there. Deja, tell me about, like, the hardship aspect that you feel like they should understand and also how you overcame it.
I think for me, I went through a time in my business, kind of around the time where I transitioned from focusing on graphic design to brand design, that I noticed that there was when I was offering graphic design services, there was a certain kind of client that I was attracting. It was a client that really didn't have much value in their business. They just wanted what they wanted. They had no desire to hear input from me on maybe ways I felt like this flyer or brochure or piece of collateral could be done differently or logo. They just wanted what they wanted, and I had no creative freedom, which then burnt me out and sucked the fun out of it. I think over time, what I realized is it was necessary for a shift in the process of my business so that I'm no longer hitting that wall. Because if I continue to allow myself to be in that space, I was just going to be burnt out and no longer want to do it, which is eventually what I came to. But yeah, I just set a different process that attracted a different kind of client. I shifted my marketing so that I was attracting a different kind of client, and at the end of the day, when I did that, I was attracting a client who was invested in their business. They had money to put behind their business. They trusted my expertise, so I'm not constantly having someone who wants to micromanage what I'm doing.
So I love the fact too as well because you tapped onto like some of the clientele that you kind of jump between because like for me as well, I shot everything till I found my areas that I truly adapted with and also the clients that understood me and the vision for my company. So my question, Ms. Shelby, is like modeling it could be very diverse. It could be so many different areas. Being an entrepreneur, so many different areas as well. Like, how did you navigate finding out like this is my area, like these are my people, this is my squad, this is the type of stuff that I want to work on and the projects I want to do? How did you find that?
It definitely took some time. It took a lot of resilience too. Moving out to New York City when I was 16 years old, I was this like tiny little thing. And in New York, they have standards. So it's like you have to be a 00, you have to be 5'9", you have to be this, you have to look a certain way. And I remember like killing myself trying to look up to standard for what this agency wanted because they were booking clients like Alexander Wang, Chanel. I modeled for Gucci. And it was just so hard, and it was detrimental to my mental health. And there came a point, I was 18, I told my mom, I was like, I need to walk away from this industry. It is literally like killing me. I can't do this anymore. And so I took a break, I walked away from the industry, but I loved being in front of the camera, I loved being on stage, I loved performing, and I took some time, I prayed, and the clients that are for me were gonna accept me how I am. I'm a fitness girly. I went to Junior Olympics when I was younger. I'm naturally athletic. Like, I'm not a 00. I'm also not 5'9". And so the clients that are for me were gonna come. And so it's really being firm. I love what you said, Deja, earlier about having your foundation. One of my mentors told me, he goes, if you don't have a firm foundation, you're gonna fall for everything and you're gonna say yes to everything, even the things that are not for you. So what is your firm foundation? For me, my firm foundation is God. I find my identity in Christ. And at the end of the day, like whatever God has for me is going to come easily and smoothly, and I don't need to change who I am because the clients that are for me are gonna love me how I am. And it's crazy because I never thought I'd be on Resorts World. I never thought I'd do a runway for Chanel last year. I never thought I'd be booking campaigns for Atomic Golf. And God is so good and gracious, and the abundance in that, with me walking with confidence in my true identity, yeah, it's all glory to Him. It's crazy.
journey that you guys have been on and just to see it unfold. And you know, the thing about it too, I think with social media, sometimes it becomes a highlight reel, so to speak, for some people, and they only live the greatest moments of their lives on social. But for us, at some point, we've had a couple failures that we've shared with the world, but also to just be transparent with them, which I appreciate you guys doing because it helps them to show both sides of the table. It's not always like that, and when it is, it's great. When it's not, we gotta recycle and we gotta continue to build our foundation. And you guys are working on that, so thank you. Absolutely. Nigel, so foundation, really quick, I just want to tap into that. Like, you started Close for Kids when you were 14, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Talk about Close for Kids real quick and like just how did you tap in and find that at 14? Like, we were both young when we started our thing, but like 14, bro, like a nonprofit foundation, like talk to me about that.
So I have a nonprofit called Clothes for Kids. So Clothes for Kids is basically a nonprofit that provides brand new clothing for children in foster care. Does anybody know what foster care is? Yeah? Everybody kind of understand what that is? So when I was 14, so I'm an only child. I don't have any brothers or sisters. So growing up, it was always just me. You know what I mean? When I was playing 2K, I had to play against a computer, unfortunately, because I didn't have nobody to play against, right? So when I was 14, my parents went through the process of like becoming licensed foster parents. And so I was really, really excited because I was gonna have a new foster brother or sister to, you know what I mean, hang out with. And so, long story short, when my foster brother came home to us, all of the clothing inside of his bag that he brought home, he came home with a trash bag full of all his belongings. And they almost looked like they weren't even his clothes. Some of them were dirty, some of them were way too big for him, some of them were way too small. And you could tell he just didn't have a lot of confidence in the way that he carried himself. Because I'm looking out in the audience, all of y'all have different styles, right? Like my man over here fitted up. I see you with the varsity jacket, the white pants. You know what I mean? Everybody got different styles. So it makes you feel, clothes make you feel confident. So imagine having to wear some clothes that you don't like, right? And so kind of seeing that transition, I figured that was probably a reality for other children in foster care. And it kind of inspired me to start a nonprofit to provide brand new clothes for children in foster care so they can feel more confident.
I like that. I like that. Now that's great. Let's clap it up for him.
No, he was a little younger.
You said, what do you think we could have done differently? Yeah, like, what do you wish you could have done differently? Just overall, you know what?
Good question.
So for me specifically, and like Nigel and Shelby said earlier, people saying they self-made is crazy, right? At some point, you did something, you talked to somebody, you walked in the right door at the right time, you got someone's business card, someone followed you on Instagram, and now you got 130,000 followers. Something happened, right? And I want to say that really quick because what I feel like I did wrong in certain areas is I feel like I didn't listen to the people that are around me enough, that really truly cared for me and poured into me. Like when I was a kid here, I was playing varsity basketball, I was running track. I was, you know, doing my thing. I was moving a little bit, right, with Coach Banks. I was doing a little bit of that. But aside from that, I was just all in my little bubble. And when I graduated, there was a lot of people that tried to pour into me. And majority of them I listened. But for those that I didn't, I could have been so much further. And one thing that my dad always tells me is essentially a bought lesson, right? Sometimes we have to buy that lesson to truly understand and learn from it. Right? So if you thinking you out here, you just gonna go through life and essentially just make these mistakes. If someone's in a position to tell you, yo, B, Nigel, man, come on now, you can do it this way, and you can avoid those things, do that. Don't be that guy that has to learn the hard way and has to pay for that lesson. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Take the advice that people are giving you because more than likely, they've been where you on your way to. Talk to me. So I'm gonna have them answer both of those questions, low key. Ms. Deja, real quick, cause I know you in a scuffle here. We're gonna get you out of here.
I just think seeing it through. Like I think sometimes in the moment it's really easy to and valid to feel defeated, but I think not giving up is really important and just knowing that, especially if you guys are choosing to pursue business, please know that you will take a lot of L's, and you cannot want to quit at every L. I think if you just shift your perspective to knowing that, okay, this was tough, we made it through. We took this lesson, we're walking forward with this lesson. You will just become so much more wise over time if you look at your losses that way or your lessons that way. So I would just say just pushing through.
Pushing through when adversity hits the door. Okay, absolutely, yeah. And so, is there anything that you want to just kind of leave them with? A couple gems, something that you want them to take away from today?
Yeah, I just want to encourage you guys. We live in a world of your guys' high school years look a lot different than maybe what some of our high school years look like. Social media access is so much more available than it was to us before. And I just think that it's so important to remember that you only see what people want to show you on social media. So while you may see this business owner who shows that they've got these lavish cars and they've got this lavish house, they're not showing you what the journey that they had to go through before. So I would just encourage you guys to set a plan for yourself, whatever that looks like. I went about things untraditionally. Some people like to go to college, or whatever your route looks like. Just set a plan and see that plan through, and don't try to cut corners. Just see your plan through.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah, let's clap it up for it, y'all. Thank you, Xavier, so much. I know you have a prior engagement. Thank you so much for being here. Let's clap it up one more time for Xavier. And I will also list some of the ways that you guys can be involved in what she's doing and just kind of, see all of her different foundations and organizations that she's a part of to help run. So the last couple pieces of this, y'all, really quick. What's that, bro? You actually did it. Okay, so really quick. What's one thing, so now we talked about networking. We talked about how important it is, right? Nigel, when someone's reaching out to someone, I like to say shaking hands. You gotta shake hands. What is something that you say, like he said, what do y'all wish we didn't do, right? When you're networking with someone, what's things that you're like, man, don't do that. Don't reach out to somebody and say this. Don't ask for help and act this way.
Yeah, so I would say one of the things that is annoying and kind of something that will turn somebody off to whatever you're trying to propose is if you meet somebody and immediately start going into who you are, what you do, and essentially flexing. Y'all know what that means, right? Right? So when you're talking to somebody, what I like to do is I like to do more listening, right? So I like, one thing you'll learn, right, and the reason why people do that is because people like to talk about themselves. So when I meet somebody, I don't really talk too much about myself. I say, hey man, how did you start doing that? Every single time they say something, I follow back with a question. And I do that for two reasons. One, to get them to talk about themselves. That makes them to feel heard. And also, it's an easier conversation. I don't have to say anything. I just, yeah. Oh, how'd you do that? Oh, okay, what made you do that? Every time they ask me something, I follow back with another question. And then also, listening for opportunities of how you can help this person, right? Because when you help somebody, now when you go and ask for something, they're going to be more, inclined to actually do whatever you want them to do. So I would first say, start by listening, and don't immediately off the bat ask. If you meet somebody, let's just say I know somebody who is another social media content that has millions of followers, and I'm just meeting this person. The worst thing I can do is say, hey, my name is Nigel, can we maybe go to lunch next week? So this person doesn't even know me, right? So I might just be like, hey, here is some, I would figure out some type of value that I can give to this person to just start a relationship, right? So don't immediately start asking for stuff. Start a relationship, genuinely get to know this person, because when you have that relationship, they're going to be more inclined. For example, if I don't know Brandon, if I didn't know bro, and I just hit him on IG hey bro, I see you got a studio, man. Can I borrow one of your cameras? He's going to be like, absolutely not, bro. I don't know you. You know what I mean? But now we have a relationship, and vice versa. If I don't know him and he just hits me on Instagram and is like, hey man, I see you live in Vegas. What's your schedule like next week? I have some questions I want to ask you. Probably gonna be like, man, maybe ask me in the DM. I don't know you, so I'm not probably going to do that. So start the relationship. Relationships are the most valuable things you can have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
real quick, Shelby, I want you to tap into this. So essentially, too, make sure what he's saying too is make sure your approach is right. Okay, make sure your approach is right. Let's be honest in the room real quick. How many of you guys are like typing a text message and you're like, ooh, this is, I don't know, should I send it? Should I send it? Right? Those are the moments that we also have been through as well, that we reread an email or a message like 5 or 6 times before I send this message or this email. Ooh, should I say that to her? Right? So make sure your approach is right. Make sure reread it with some other people, your teacher, whoever, some other people as you reach out. Funny enough, I'm not sure if she's in here. I had someone reach out earlier this week about an internship actually with our company, and they were supposed to be here, so I think if Izzy, you can find them for me. But prime example, her email, the way she reached out to me, I'm like, wait a second, you sure that's at Cave Springs? Is she an adult? Is she living life? Is she got a job and all these different? Because the email was so professional. So when you're reaching out to people, make sure your approach is right. Reread it, your spelling even. I had someone spell their name wrong on their email. I said, are you taking me serious? Why your name wrong on your email?
Yeah.
Reread your emails and your text messages when you're reaching out to people.
Absolutely. I think you had a question.
We're gonna have a second to line up, and I would love to get all the questions together.
Okay.
Miss Shelby, go ahead real quick.
Could you repeat the question one more time? Thank you.
I almost got lucky. Okay, so overall, your approach to reaching out to people, how do you do that professionally without it being, like Nigel said, it comes off a certain way?
Absolutely. I would say the biggest thing is effective communication, being efficient with the way that you talk to these people, how you DM them, how you email them. We live in a day and age where everything is so fast-paced, and I run 3 different businesses. I don't have time to dilly-dally on my phone and text my friends and text these people and DM and check all these things. I need people to be very firm and efficient with how they speak. Now, I know we have our friends and hey, how you doing, all those things, but when you're talking with business, you need to be straight to the point. Hi, my name is this, I'm looking to do this, whatever, and be very firm and direct and professionalism. Honestly, your email and how you curate everything is great. And honestly, if you're not sure how to write a professional text message or a professional email, ChatGPT is amazing. And access it, use it. I use it every single day in my business. It's helped me just be more quick and efficient. I don't want to sit there and write a whole email sometimes, so I will literally put that email inside, I'll screenshot the email from this business, I'll put it inside my ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT, I need this type of response, and it will curate the text for me. And then you can have your apps actually integrated now, and they can do work for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Resources, utilizing your resources, and not being afraid. We can't do everything. We can't type every message, every word, every sentence. But being in a position to use our resources is important. So I see you had a couple questions. Real quick, raise your hand if you guys have any questions for our panelists or me. Okay, so what we're going to do, if you guys don't mind, stand up for me. I'm going to just have you come right here with the mic. And we're just going to do this a little bit more professional style setting. That's cool. So if you do have, we're going to probably have time for about 5 to 6 questions.
Okay.
I have 2 giveaways that I want to do before they dismiss, hopefully.
Yeah.
So I think it's
Under 30-second answers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Charles, come back.
I hope my phone's recording.
Huh?
I hope my phone's recording.
It should be.
It should be still.
Your first name, and then what grade you are?
I like this kid, he's out in the front.
My name is Christian Dior. Sophomore. My question is really to both of y'all, because y'all rely on the same type of things I want to do. You're in entertainment, and I want to be an entertainer too, with modeling, dancing, on stage and singing. And Nigel, you're on the social media, and that's something else I need to work on too. So what is some of the ways y'all have put yourself out there? Who are some people that you network with, and put yourself out there? How are some ways you did?
Christian, I just want to say thank you so much for that question. I admire your energy. I love that you sat right in the front. And I was going to say that's exactly what you want to do in every area of your life. When you want to learn something, when you want to connect with people, whether you're in a workout class, whether you go to a new job or an interview, you put yourself in the front. You want to be seen. You need to not be afraid to get uncomfortable and just allow yourself to just be integrated with everyone around you. So I admire you. You're so bold and outspoken, and honestly, that's going to take you so far in life. For me, the same thing. Anytime I went somewhere, I put myself in the front. If I didn't understand something, I was like, who is the smartest person in the class? And I'm going to sit next to that person so I can learn what they know, because this person is wiser than I am. And so it's just really connecting with people, not being afraid to try new things, and saying yes to opportunities that are going to just mold you into the person that you want to become.
First off, did you say your name is Christian Dior? That is a hard name, bro. Like, that is a very cool name, bro. What I would say is, you are, just like Shelby said, you already taking the right steps, man. Listen, it's a lot of people in here that said that they want to own a business, and they want to do these things, but some of y'all whole time here was on your phones. You know what I mean? So just having the ability to listen, pay attention, these type of opportunities, take advantage of this. So always, exactly, be in the front, ask the most questions. Because people who are mentors, they notice that, right? So one of my biggest pet peeves is when somebody asks me, hey, how do I do this? Or, can you show me how to do X, Y, and Z? And I tell them and they don't take action on it. So just always ask questions, and when you get advice, actually put it into play and show that, you know what I mean? Like, that's the biggest return on investment for me when I'm helping people, is to see that the knowledge that I gave them, they're actually using. So keep it up, bro.
What do you guys do when situations get tough, You're back against the wall.
Yeah. For me, when my back's against the wall and situations are tough and I feel like nothing is going right, honestly, I pray. I pray and I surrender and I give it to God. Because at the end of the day, I can't control everything. And at the end of the day, He already knows what's going to happen. The story's already written. And I know that there's spiritual authority going on, and God's going to direct and guide my path, whether I think it looks good or bad. So there's so much power in prayer and the words that come out of your mouth and what you say to yourself. So be mindful about the words that you say.
I love that.
That was a great answer. Everybody did good for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I think it's very important, when things get tough, to pray. And also understand it's just all a part of your story, man. You know what I mean? Always think, my mindset is when things are going terrible, I say, well, it probably can't get any worse than this. At least I know moving forward it's going to start getting better. So it's all a part of your story. Any trials or whatever the case is just making you stronger. Look at everything that happens as negative as a lesson. Right now, maybe you know what not to do. Maybe now you have the skill set of, hey, now I know how to deal with this difficult situation. So try and take everything as a lesson and keep everything positive, and just stay connected to God, because He ultimately knows, what the plan for your life is.
Yeah, amen.
My name is Ricardo. I'm in 10th grade. Now I have a question for you. What mistake should I avoid trying to become a content creator?
What type of content creator you want to become, bro?
Entertainment, like day in the life.
Day in the life. I would say the biggest tip on social media, whether you have a business, content creator, is you need to understand your target audience. Who are you trying, what type of people are you trying to attract? And you need to post videos that they want to see. That's a huge mistake, is people post videos online that they like, right? That I think this is cool, but does your audience think this is cool? Because that's the most important part. And then I will also say stay consistent, right? And get better every single video. Whether that's, hey, you make your transitions cooler or the text on the screen is better, but just constant, consistent improvement. There's no way you won't win, bro.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
My name's Suella Lisa Jimenez, and I go by Suella for short. I'm a freshman here. And I was wondering, as you guys have gone through all this stuff in your life, what helped you keep your motivation on to keep going in what you're trying to pursue?
Great question. I'm gonna answer mine very quick because I know we're kind of running out of time. I would say to surround yourself around people who are gonna motivate you, right? You're gonna have friends. Anytime you have an idea and you tell somebody, they're like, nah, that's not gonna work. You don't want to be surrounded around those type of people, because it's always gonna compress your mindset and limit your belief in yourself. So surround yourself around supportive individuals who will, motivate you to take those risks and have those grand ideas and actually take action on them.
That's good. Hi, Suella. I love that name. It's so beautiful. I would say you need to have a strong why. Why are you doing what you're doing? What is driving you? Your why has to be so strong that when everything goes wrong in your life, that why is gonna hold you. And my why of why I do everything, it's to reach people. I love everyone around me, and I knew modeling was just a platform. I don't wanna be a pretty face in front of a camera and people just look at me. I wanna use my voice that God gave me so I can reach the next generation to come. So whatever your why is, whatever your firm foundation is, hold on to that, and it will give you hope.
And so we, like I said, y'all, essentially, the reason why we have them specifically as well is because I know that a lot of you guys raised your hand for the entrepreneurship. I wanted to make sure that we brought those type of representatives, people that really understand what your journey will look like, right? So the question that you guys, first of all, let's clap it up for the questions they asked. They came up. Thank you. So really quick, just so that way I make sure I have time, I'm also an ambassador for a camera store here that's called BNC. It helps sponsor some gear and some things that we're going to give away, and also a graduation photo session that we're going to do for one of our seniors. We'll leave, we'll get to do a session with my company as well as my team. So the first thing, I'm going to go ahead and give away a disposable camera. This guy is going to be super safe. You're going to be able to shoot some stuff and then take it to BNC to get it developed. And I'll give you guys a special discount code to go ahead and do that, okay? So the first question that I have, all right, the bell may ring, y'all, so just stay with me if you wanna get the possibility to win this, okay? All right, so the question is, drum roll, right? Okay. Who can name a brand that was almost entirely built through social media? Like, what's a brand that you never really see out nowhere, but like, when you go on social, you see them? Am I seeing hands? Wait, y'all don't want this camera? Hold on. Somebody. Right, okay. Let me see, you first, go ahead. Poppy the soda brand. Okay. Now you're gonna tell me who's got the best answer. Talk to me. Crumble cookie? Okay. Talk to me. Kimchi, make a brand. One more. Sheen.
That's a good one.
I think Sheen's the best answer.
Yeah.
Clap it up for her, y'all.
That's a good one.
Absolutely. All right, so go ahead, seniors. Seniors, I want all my seniors to stand up. All my seniors, stand up, y'all, real quick, please. Go ahead and give this to them, and then have Donna get a shot. And this to them, please. Okay, all right, for my final question. Shelby, this is going to be on you. You're going to pick them, okay?
Okay.
All right, here we go. Who can name one piece of advice that a panelist gave today? Right? Let's make sure. Here we go. Hold on. I gotta make sure. I hear this one. This is grad session, y'all. This is a GR grad session. I gotta make sure.
If you're having hard times, you can always pray to God or look forward to Him to keep motivation.
Yeah, amen.
Okay, nice. Give it a clap up for y'all real quick. All right. Talk to me.
That it is okay to set boundaries with people, because I know it's really hard for people, but it's okay to say no.
Nice. Give it a clap up for her.
I know.
Last one. Any of y'all three? What's up? What y'all want to know? Yeah, let's do it. Come on. Here we go. You in the middle. Go ahead. One piece of advice.
When you're making connections, don't always try and put yourself out if they don't even know you yet.
I don't want to pick my heart now.
I was weak on what she said first was surrender yourself to God and let Him handle your problems and just pray. That's all I'm gonna do.
Man, that's good. This happened last time.
Might as well pick her. She
I
won't go on that stage.
Who got what? What do you think, Sheldon?
I think she's the only one that stayed right here, the one with the boundaries. Yeah, yeah.
Her right here, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, Miss. What is your name? Yes.
Oh.
You won. Congratulations.
They were all good answers, though.
All great answers, y'all. Thank you so much.